What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's me, L Teddy 27. Man, we are back. David Makes Man. Damn it, season 1, episode 7. Oh, y'all. Let me tell you something. If you are not watching this show, I don't even know what to tell you. Don't even know what to tell you. Tonight's episode, ladies and gentlemen, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Trying to tell you what I know. So, we start. Listen, I don't know how I'm going to fit everything in. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. We're going to get through this. We're going to parcel it out. We're going to get through all. Listen, here's the great part about this show. Shouts out to Terrell Alvin McCraney, the creator, all of the executive producers, all of the writers, photographers, cinematographers, all of that good stuff. What makes the show good is this. You can have an episode like what you had today where there was so much going on, so many moments, and not feel like it was rushed, not feel like it was forced, not feel like it was pushed through. Because a lot of times when there's a lot packed into one episode of a show, you feel like something was rushed or something was forced or they tried to do too much. You left the episode going, give me more, give me more. And it was so much in the episode. Let's get through it, y'all. We start off the episode with a flashback. David is having a flashback from when Sky is alive. And so we go through this episode where really the crux of this episode was we got, not the crux, but I would say one of the overarching storylines in this episode was getting down to the bottom of how Sky actually died. And we've been wanting to know this since the show started. And so today we get that. So we start off with this flashback. David's having a flashback. They're at the Ville. Sky's alive. And Sky is, David goes upstairs and he tries to go see Sky. Shinobi stops him. He says, I want to see Sky. Shinobi does his whole Shinobi thing. And Sky says, leave him alone, let him come up. In the same way that Ray does. David goes in there, sees Sky, and David talks to Sky. Sky's teaching David all about, how to, just teaching him life lessons. Never let people know where you're going. Move in silence, move in secret. People should never be able to pinpoint where you at all the time. Different things like that. When Shinobi tries to, come at David, Sky tells Shinobi, go find some calm. Okay? Go find some calm. All right? Pay attention to that. So, David and Ray then discuss how, you see it's back in the present. David and Ray are discussing how to disseminate and to distribute these drugs. David is teaching Sky all about, how many grams it should be. You can't go over this amount. People might overdose. People might die. This, that, and the third. So David done did all his homework. This is why David had from the beginning. This was David's plan going all the way back. And you saw it unraveling. And now you see great writing here. Now you see there was a plan from the very beginning. Even though it seemed like David was trying to choose not to go down this path, he had already laid the foundation going all the way back to the beginning. And I love this, what I call cyclical writing, where it's cyclical. So then, Saren keeps calling David over and over and over. And so Ray said, you gonna get that? Saren, Ray answers. Ray and Saren is phone boning like, that's the bae calling and you phone boning. It was so cute. Ray says, I hope that's a chick you talking to. David just laughs it off and keeps talking to Saren. Shinobi, they drive, I forgot where they went. Some kind of way they got wherever they was. Shinobi bust David in the head. Shinobi just don't see it for David at all. Shinobi do not see it for David at all. Anyway, and so you see this still kind of protection that Rey is having for David. Now, in my mind, I'm going to tell you exactly what I wrote in my notes. In my notes, I wrote, the reason that I'm thinking that Rey has been doing all this protecting of David is because Rey knows that he's not built to be the guy. He's not built to be the leader of these guys. And he can see signs that David is the one who should be at the forefront, who should be the leader, who's more so like his dad and can lead more so than he can. And so I think that this attempt to be nice to David, force this relationship with David is his attempt at acknowledging and accepting and coming to terms with, no, this is what David's supposed to be doing, and let me kind of guide him along that path and push him into this role. We'll continue on. David, and then I also paid attention to how David was still second guessing his choice, because he looks at the little boy, the little fat boy that was fighting JG that one time, who's a whole dope boy now. David takes this long look at him as if he's saying, you know what, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but at this point, it is what it is. Then we see David goes home. David's getting dressed. David's got to go to church with Saren, because he promised Saren that he was going to go to church and listen to him sing. David's mom is like, no, where you going? You know we always have these big plans on Halloween. No. You need to stay here. You need to be with us. David's like, absolutely not. I'm going. I got to go. I promised Saren, and I am not going to miss it. I'm not going to miss the bae, because they damn near baes at this point. Not about to miss the bae singing. So David leaves and goes over to Saren's house, okay? David gets to Saren's house, gets in the car, and when Saren's mom turns around, you see this big bruise on the side of her neck. Come to find out that because you immediately think it's the stepdad. Whoa, no, it ain't the stepdad. It is from Saren. Saren got blood between his fingers. Saren probably got to the point where you get to a point where you just get sick and tired of people beating on you when you get a little too big, and you be like, we fighting back today. I'm not, because I told y'all during that episode, I forgot which episode it was, 4 or 5, one of them, where I said that whole white mother, black son kind of thing, it just did not sit well for me. There was this whole racial thing that was going on, even though that's the mom and the son. It just didn't sit well. So it makes sense that this black boy said, listen, I ain't just finna let you just be. Y'all fill in the blanks there. Y'all see where I'm going. We can argue about it in the comment section. Y'all tell me what y'all think. So Saren done been beating on his mom. The stepdaddy is like, well, it wasn't me. Maybe he'll get it together. The stepdad has this whole sort of, I ain't getting into all of that. I'm not getting my hands dirty. This, that, and the third thing about it. Although he's still molesting Saren. But it's just so much to talk about within that household. The Kelly household. Anyway. So David, I thought we were going to get one of those great scenes where David and Saren are having this telepathic conversation, and you start to see the conversation written out on screen, and David tries to have this telepathic conversation with Saren. Saren ain't giving him nothing. Saren is paying him dust. Saren is not communicating with him at all. And it's not because of David, but it's because of everything that he has going on right now. So when they get to the church, the mom and stepdad starts to introduce David and everything, and David's all amping up Saren, and oh yeah, and it did kind of feel like David was talking about his boyfriend, like he was, like, oh yeah, Saren this, Saren that. I'm just saying, I think Sarah kind of picked up on it, and Sarah is like, okay, I'm at church, I'm with my mom and my dad, we can't do this. And so Sarah tells David, you know, you acting real weird and stuff like that. And David was like, I don't know. Anybody else notice that? Because I noticed that. So during the sermon, they get to the church. The pastor is preaching. He says, something, I think he said something like, I am a son of God or something like that. Baby, David is having a psychological episode, okay? David jumps up in the church, starts blurting out and yelling, I am a son of God, something like that. I am something of God. And everybody in the church turns and looks at him. Sarah's mom is like, oh, well, you got to go use the bathroom. And David just quickly just leaves and use the bathroom, goes to use the bathroom. On his way to the bathroom, he's still having a whole psychological episode. He sees the Dr. Woodstrap and the Dope Boys and JG. And his mom, all these people in the crowd who are not there. He turns around. It looks like everybody in the church is looking at him with judgment. And then he turns back and turns around again, and really nobody's looking at him. So he's having this whole psychological episode. I want us to get to the root of where this psychological episode stems from. And I don't think it starts with the death of Sky. But maybe it does. But I really want to get to the bottom of that. In the bathroom, you see Sky, but Sky is not facing David. Sky is got his back toward David, and you see this bullet hole, this gunshot wound in the back of Sky's head. And you hear Sky say, I told you not to look. I told you to run. I told you not to look. I told you to run. So now we're piecing together what happened when Sky dies. So, and I think that you see David, there's this whole turmoil you see going on in David's head. The entirety of the episode, especially the first half of the episode, there's this real struggle and turmoil, which I think is causing all of this psychological stuff that's going on at the church. And I want to say that's David's inner self, conscious fighting with himself, perhaps telling himself, you have made the wrong decision, aligning yourself with the Dope Boys. And I think that's where this psychological struggle and turmoil. You had Dr. Woodstrap and his mom and JG, who probably wants him to go in the right direction. And then you also had the Dope Boys that was in the church as well, and they want him to go the wrong way. And there was this whole turmoil that, you saw all of these clips of Sky back and forth in the church. It was just a lot. It was a lot of turmoil. And I think that was his conscience fighting with itself about perhaps making the wrong decision. So then we see Saren starts to sing. Baby Saren got up in that choir stand, baby, and put us singing down, honey. He sang like an angel. Saren put us singing down. It was a beautiful moment, okay? David is sitting in the crowd, grinning from ear to ear, giving that whole, look at my babe. Look at the babe up there singing. David, this look that David had of it was just this grin from ear to ear. Like it was somebody who it was more than just you happy for your friend. This was you is like the boo thing. Happy. I don't know. We can argue about it in the comment section, y'all. Y'all tell me what y'all saw, okay? Anyway, they take David home. Glow comes out and says, oh, hey, Saren. And Glow invites Saren to stay with them for all of the Halloween festivities. At first, Saren's parents are apprehensive. Saren's mom is apprehensive of him going. But then the stepdad said, no, let him go. He can go. Just let us know what time to pick him up. Saren said, I don't got no costume. They say it's okay. You can come. So they get there, right? And before they go into Miss Elijah's house, Starry and JG are right there. And I told y'all last episode, I love and am curious about this whole interaction and friendship between Starry and JG. So Starry when David sees Starry and JG realizes that David had already met Starry, JG is a whole upset because he was like, wait a minute, this is my friend. Why you tell me you already knew Starry? Because JG loves him some Starry, okay? I mean, not in the erogenous sense, but more so in the, that's his friend. And I love that they show this young, you know, boy that is so comfortable around all things LGBTQIA, B, C, D, E, F, G. When a lot of times in that neighborhood, young boys are taught not to be comfortable around it. So then, y'all, I'm struggling to read with these shades on. Y'all know my blind behind need my glasses. So then, Saren sees Miss Elijah. And at first you saw he was enamored with Miss Elijah. Like he was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And Miss Elijah picks up on it immediately. Miss Elijah says, let me help make you a costume, because you can't come in without no costume. He makes him this costume where he took his black suit that he had and had the half suit, half ball gown on one side. Baby, he started to make do makeup for the female side, and Sarah's a little apprehensive because that's what he's taught, not to go down that road. And Miss Elijah has this beautiful conversation, a conversation that can only happen between an older gay man and a young gay boy. A conversation about living and being comfortable with yourself, whatever that is. He let him say, you know what, if you want to do the makeup, you can, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But you can be comfortable in whoever you are, no matter what nobody said. And it's so beautiful because there, especially between black gay men, you always see the worst of us. You always see the worst stereotypes and all of the horrible side. But I think it was important that you got to see this more nurturing side, because there is a nurturing side to authentically black gay male relationships, where there is this parenting that you know that's very prevalent in the black gay male community. And I loved seeing this because this is not so much someone who's already older. This is a young boy who's in 8th grade talking to this older gay male, and he needed that because he had never had someone to make him feel comfortable. And I know I'm going on and on and on. We got a lot more to talk about, but I wanted to bring that part out. So then, because Miss Elijah had already seen through Saren. Saren could not fool Miss Elijah. Miss Elijah is an old school queen, honey. Baby, we see a drop in you, we already done scoped you out. We already know who you are. You can't fool us, okay? And that's what happened here. So he even gives Saren a little vial of makeup and put it in his coat pocket and said, that's for you, don't tell nobody. You know? Anyway, they go into the courtyard, and Saren is beautiful. He got the makeup, he got the little finger waves on the female side. The outfit was beautiful. And Saren's a nice looking boy. You know, he has the features that you can really dress him up really nice. He looks nice on the male side, looks nice on the female side. So he has those kind of androgynous features that lent itself to pulling off that kind of costume. So then the rent lady tries to call out Saren, tell Miss Elijah, oh, you gonna have this boy sashaying through here with that on. Baby, when Miss Elijah read her into the ground, saying what you need to be worried about is your T-cell count, boo. Baby, he read that woman into the ground. To the ground. Miss Elijah just wrapped her up, honey. David immediately puts his arm around Saren. Immediately. To, you know, give that vote of confidence. Just in case Saren felt any kind of way, David immediately, like I said, puts his arm around Saren, grabs Saren tight, and holds Saren and say, no, I got you. We gonna do this. And is not ashamed of Saren. JG is here for it too. And like I told y'all, I love it more so than David. I love JG because JG is a whole ass thug, and JG is here for it. JG is all about everything LGBTQIA. He ain't necessarily gay himself, but he certainly is comfortable not playing into this stereotype and that what is preached probably in that area. So then we see Ray is in the house, in the hole, I'll call it. And the light-skinned dude that was with his uncle is there. He's doing the count. He has like 5 or 6 phones on the table. One of them is different from the other one. And so light-skinned dude who happens to be Jamaican, the Jamaican accent was alright, but it wasn't as authentic. I could tell the Jamaican accent was a little forced, but whatever. The Jamaican guy, the light-skinned guy that we saw at the uncle's house, he says, where you got that phone from? And you immediately knew he got that phone from his dad, Sky. And so Jamaican dude said, oh, I got it from, I think he wanted to say Brands Mart, because that's a popular electronics store in Miami. But he said something like Brands World or something like that. I knew what he was talking about. Anyway, so he said, they don't make that kind of phone now. And then Ray is kind of a little fear. He was like, wait a minute, I only got this from my dad. And if you know I got it from my dad, because the Jamaican dude says, oh, the last person who I saw with that phone was a snitch, and I had to take him out. And so you see you see the fear in Ray's eyes. And then the Jamaican dude tries to play it off like, oh, I'm just joking with you. It's Halloween. I'm just trying to scare you. Ray done already put together that this fool is the one who killed his dad, okay? So then we go out to the courtyard. They all talking and chopping it up, this, that, and the third, about everything that's been going on. Then you see the light-skinned Jamaican dude comes down the stairs and then jumps over the little over the landing area in the middle of the stairs. David immediately has because the dude had on a mask, a Jason mask. But David, when he saw him with the mask on and saw him jump over the stairs and notice his body, he immediately had the flashback back to when Sky was getting killed. And he realizes this is the same guy from the way he jumped over those stairs the same way. And the way his profile looked in the mask. This is the guy who killed Sky. Shots out to, I don't know if it was really BTV or the people in my chat. Some of y'all, one of y'all, a couple of y'all figured out way back when, and I think that was episode 2, when I said, why is this guy and David having this big epic stare down? And one of y'all said, oh, maybe he realizes or he notices that that's the guy who killed Sky. I don't know how y'all knew, but y'all knew, so I got to give you kudos on that. Y'all was right on the money with that. So then, where am I at? I done lost my notes, y'all. Oh, so then after that, I have to make sure, because y'all know my blind behind can't read. All right, so David goes in the house. Glow is in there fixing up everything for the house, the haunted house. David is like, what are you doing? Because she was using like spaghetti and stuff for the brains and stuff. And Glow is just trying to have one day where she don't have to think about the fuck shit and fuckery that is her life. David comes in the house and just goes off. What are you doing? We ain't got the kind of money to be over here partying and having a good time. We need to save this food and save that money. And Glow was like, no, you let me worry about that. But we gonna have one day where we just have ourselves a good time and we ain't got to worry about all this fuck, just fuck shit and fuckery. And I was here for Glow. Sometimes, even in the midst of your struggle, you got to take a moment to at least enjoy something. Every now and again. So then, the next thing we see was the moment. The next scene took me out. When I tell, listen, that next scene took me out. The next scene we see is David and Saren. They're sitting on the curb waiting for Saren's parents. So Saren starts off talking about, I see why you want to go to Hurston, because this place is crazy. And David was like, I live here. Don't talk about the place I live. And so there's this back and forward. But then they just open up to each other in a way, starting off that only best friends can open up to each other. But then it takes another dramatic turn where it goes from being just a friend to a companion. And that's the kind of conversation that was having, that you were having it. This was a companion type relationship, which is, to me, closer than just a friend. And David starts to cry because he was said, you're the only friend that I have. You're the only one that I can talk to. And he was opening up to Saren because Saren had already done that with David and opening up to David about everything that he had going on at home. And this was that reconciliation that David needed and Saren needed, because that was kind of broken during episode 1 when David said what he said to Saren. And there was this moment, there was this kismet moment where they just, both of them completely just like, you know, released and just gave into each other, not in a sexual way, but in a companion way where they were completely open and honest and vulnerable to each other. It was a beautiful scene. Just a it was so great because they were so close and so intertwined and so united, but it still wasn't sexual. It kept it out of the sexual realm because these are 8th graders, but it still was so beautiful. Great, phenomenal. Loved every part of this scene. Then it was interrupted by the parents coming. Mom gets out the car, rolling up. Mom gets out the car, and there's this, and David, no, because Sarah said, if I go away. No, he says, Sarah said something, I can't remember, but David said, I ain't going nowhere. And Sarah alludes to, I might. And I thought at the moment Sarah was saying that he was just going to run and go away, because earlier in the episode, Miss Elijah told Sarah, if you need a place to go, I have somewhere to go. Keep your finger on that in just a second. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I harbor kids who have no place to go. Miss Elijah told Sarah that, okay? Now, they embrace before he goes to get in his parents' car, and that embrace, go back to those people who watch me and my lives. Remember the story I told about how it all started, and I talked about the embrace that happened that day at the beach. I felt like that was that kind of embrace. Y'all, those people know who I'm talking about who was in that live. It's privated now. Anyway, David, while Saren is going to the car, keeps saying, be careful. Be careful. Because he knows when Saren gets home, it's about to go down. Because the mom is already yelling at him because he had to kind of rip and kind of mess up the suit a little bit to get the costume on the way with the dress part on. David already knows it's about to go down when Saren gets home. Child. And you can see he's so afraid and so fearful for his friend. And he's broken now because he knows what's about to happen. Miss Elijah walks up and she sees David. She sees the hurt. She sees the damage. And she just tells him, she says, listen, David, you can't save everybody. You can't save everybody. Sometimes you got to give people back what they give to you, because you can't hold it all. And so it's kind of left there. And I'm sure in the succeeding episodes we'll see the aftermath of all of that. Then David starts to run. And David runs, and you see him running in the present, and you see this flashback of him running back when Sky was getting ready to get killed, and Sky told him to run. And so David then goes to the hole. David and Shinobi have their back and forth like all the time. But when David comes in the house, I made note and I wrote down, so you finally because David just bust in there. Normally, David, you know, is kind of scared to go in there. He finally came up in there. And so Shinobi was like, oh, you finally let your balls drop. And that's the saying that we have in Miami. Miami old men or older grown men, 30s and up, will always say, young blood, your balls ain't even dropped yet. Your nuts ain't even dropped yet. Akin to the physiological period where when you get older, men's testicles they do actually drop and hang lower the older you get. Anyway, so it's this statement that we say, I know in Miami about you becoming a man when your nuts drop. So David is now fully vested in. David is fully vested in being a dope boy now. David has all of this, that, and the third. He talks to them about why you distributed it with this tissue and da-da-da-da-da. And this is a whole thing that Shinobi done came up with. And David was like, no, you messing up the money. And you see David during this scene, this maturation process that happens with David, where you see David is completely vested in this. And Shinobi sees that his time with this amount of influence is being challenged, and challenges David even more so than normally. And David doesn't back down. Matter of fact, he bucks up at Shinobi and he challenges Shinobi, and Ray calls him off. And Ray at that moment told Shinobi the same thing his dad told Shinobi: go find some calm. Okay? And just like his dad did. And it goes back to what I'm saying. Just like his dad was... Because I think Ray's dad told Ray that David is the next heir apparent and not him. And I think there might have been a conversation. I'm just, hypothesizing that there was a conversation between Ray and Sky that, you take care of David if anything should happen to me, because he's the next heir apparent. And that's where I think this comes from, this relationship. Anyway, Shinobi. Oh, and it should note, everybody had on costumes, right? And this was way early in the episode, after Miss Elijah made the costume for Saren. Miss Elijah tries to put this clown rainbow wig on him. Because Miss Elijah told him, no, you got to have on a costume. David said, nah, let me choose that over there. And it was a crown. And David puts the crown like tilted on his head. Meanwhile, in the hole, there's this big like throne like chair where who's ever, I guess, in charge sits. Sky used to sit in it where he was in charge. Ray is sitting in it now. And above it is this big crown. All of this symbolism, y'all. All of this symbolism. It's so much. I know this is long, but I don't care. It is what it is. So, after that, we see, the next thing we see, y'all, is baby Shinobi is sitting back talking. Because earlier in the episode, we saw when, when Sky told Shinobi to go find some calm, Shinobi goes into somebody's apartment in the Ville. When Ray tells Shinobi to go find some calm, he then again leaves and goes to the apartment. Whose apartment is it? Miss Elijah. And how does he find calm? Getting his dick sucked by Miss Elijah. Shinobi's a little cutie now. As mean as he is, say what you want. Shinobi is a little cutie. Okay. I ain't mad at you, Miss Elijah. I ain't not mad at you, honey. Do what you do. Do Jesus and do him well. Anyway, they have this business deal because they got to get these prescription drugs. Somebody got to do the prescriptions, and they need somebody that know what they're doing. So there's this business deal that is between Miss Elijah and Shinobi about how they're going to get these prescription drugs, this, that, and the third, and him getting paid, and Miss Elijah getting her cut out of it, and Shinobi them getting what they want. And so that goes off without a hitch. Shinobi comes out and does what the usual thug who's on the low, getting his dick sucked by somebody that's gay. But then when he get on the outside, he's calling people all kinds of F-bombs and all kind of stuff. So, Starry is leaving for Tampa. Because Starry said, I can't stay here. I'm going to run away. And that's not good for Miss Elijah. Because if they find me there, that's going to be kidnapping. And not just me running away. So he's leaving. What does that mean? That means that there's room in Miss Elijah's house. And I told y'all to remember what Saren said. I'm thinking, because at the end of the episode, we had this closing montage. And in the closing montage, one of the scenes was Saren. You could tell he had got beat. His lip was bust. And he's putting makeup, the makeup that he got from Miss Elijah, on his lip to cover up the wound. And I think that was symbolic. I think it was very symbolic. I think he's going to take Miss Elijah up on his offer to house him there. Now that Starry is exited, I think enters Saren into that spot where Starry was. It makes sense. He'd be closer to David. His parents damn sure ain't coming there looking for him. His parents don't want no parts of the film. Pay attention. Y'all mark my word. Now, I ain't saying that's going to happen, but it would make sense. And especially with the symbolism of covering up that scar, that wound, with the makeup that Miss Elijah gave him. Work with me, and y'all put it in the comment section now. And then you saw the rent lady taking her meds, because I'm guessing, you know, Miss Elijah is right. She does have HIV. And we see David sits on that seat that I was telling you about in the hole, which is like a throne, with the little painted crown in the, behind him. And he has that same crown that he had wore on Halloween, tilted to the side, saying that this belongs to me. And that's where it ends. Y'all, this episode has so much going on, y'all. It was great. It was phenomenal. If you have not seen it, go see it. Y'all, I can't wait to see what y'all say in the comment section. Y'all, let's get in these comments. Let's talk about it. Let's debate. Let's discuss. Let's argue, and get it all over with. That's all I got for y'all. We're going to be back next week, because you know it's going to be another good episode. And I'll be here. I'm going to be here for another good review. And we're going to be in the comment section again. But let's get down there now. I will check y'all in just a few seconds when you get in the comment section. That's all I got for y'all. Until next week, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.